Victoria, what?
All righty.
Oh my gosh, we going live. You watching? Oh
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. I am looking at my Facebook page to see if we are live. Hopefully, this worked. I'm going to say hopefully again, this worked. Look, I don't see
hopefully.
it. I'm not sure, but nevertheless, we are live and it's not showing up on my page. No. Nevertheless, we're going to go ahead and keep going, okay?
It's live
Welcome,
on the
everyone.
Facebook. It's visible.
Hmm.
It's visible on the Facebook.
Is it visible?
Mm-hmm.
Well, great. I don't see it on mine, but that's okay. It's okay. Welcome everyone. I am Apostle Stacie, and we are finally live. I am so excited. Welcome. I had this name all picked out what I wanted to call it, but we're just gonna say from 15 to 30 what they didn't tell us. Breaking the chains. We're here to talk about the workshop that is getting ready to take place March the 14th, right there in the Easter Seals building on Galbraith Road at 12 p.m., where we're going to be connecting families and young adults, talking about mental health, talking about communication, and also how to kind of bridge the gap between the two. I have a wonderful guest tonight. One of I call them my Gigi babies, one of our spiritual granddaughters, Tanara. Amen. And we are just going to have some conversations. I know she's a little nervous right now. I'm going to look on my Facebook page and make sure that we are live right now. I don't see us, but it's okay. I think we're in business. I think we are in business. I think we are live. I'm gonna hit it and see. I believe we are. I believe we are, my dear.
Yeah, we are.
So yes, we are. We are definitely live. So we want to make sure that the chat is open. Let me see. This is a new platform, so I'm trying to get used to it, everything. So if I'm gonna make sure that I'm looking at my Facebook page to see if anybody has any comments, hopefully the comments will come across so I can catch them on this platform. But nevertheless, let me tell you a little bit about who I am. I'm Stacie Johnson. I have a background in mental health and behavior health, and one of my passions is really teaching families or bridging families together, teaching them coping skills. And coping skills are basically teaching us how to get along. I know there are a lot of stressors in the world today, and we need to learn how to overcome some of those stressors. And a lot of times we have trauma responses, which means we react to the way our trauma or our triggers are in the world today. So you see a lot of anger, you see a lot of frustration. So what I do is basically I teach adults and young people how to develop those coping mechanisms that will keep them in that place of calm so they can make healthy decisions. The Lord had placed on my heart to do a Breaking the Chains conference. And also I have a organization called U-Turn Behavioral Services, which services young adults and parents, teaching them those things. And Breaking the Chains is actually going to launch this organization, but also bring awareness to our community how we need to better equip our young adults and our parents in this day and age as we get more into this information age, and we are so flooded with so much information. Some of our kids and young adults just don't know how to take it. So before the conference or before the workshop happens, I want to bring on some of our young adults to really bring some awareness, because I think a lot of times we don't get an opportunity to see you all's side of the story. And when I say you all, I'm talking about ages 16 to 30. You know, that's a wide gap, but it's a lot of stressors in there. Also, I am the visionary of Women of Vision Global Network, and also the visionary of Adonai International Kingdom Ministries, where I am an apostle alongside my husband, who is an apostle, and the senior pastor of Adonai International Kingdom Ministries, Apostle Frank Johnson. I want to honor him also and give him a shout out. But yeah, it placed on our hearts to really really connect with the young people and just take a breath. I know she's a little nervous, but it's okay. We're just going to have some conversation about what it's like to be a young adult in this day and age, and some of the stressors that you have dealt with. And then you don't have to get deep if you don't want to, or vulnerable if you don't really want to, but I want you to feel comfortable on this platform. So, one of the things I wanted to ask you was, why do you think that mental health is important to people your age today? Because I know sometimes your age group kind of shies away from when you hear mental health. So, why do you think it's important for them to get the knowledge today?
Um, that's a great question. So mental health, I'll definitely say for my age group is very important because we're surrounded by literally everything considered screens, social media, anything that is electronic is nothing but being behind a screen on something. Even when it goes to like being in our natural environments, there's always a screen somewhere where we have to be somewhat blocked off in a way. And it even causes like distance even with our own relationships and family members and friends because it's not as genuine because we don't know what it's like to be in a genuine state unless you build that relationship and like not say unless you build that relationship in like an honest and more intimate way without being behind the screen without having to put up a front or put up a mask and it's something that we do shy away from, but it's something that we want as well. Like it's very normalized in today's era, but it's not very accessible either because buying like therapy, getting into therapy, like getting help is very expensive these days because of how normalized it is. So it's hard to like reach out when we want to or even
Mhm.
access it because of the funds. So I'll say like that will be like the main thing why we shy away from it. But even
Mhm.
in like not feeling safe in certain areas of our lives where we feel like we're either being becoming a burden or like asking for attention as well. So yeah, I'll say that's like the main thing of it. Main thing of it, just not like being able to access it more so because like funds are always majority of the problem.
Okay, so I think I heard you say that the first part of it was that today you all have access to what you call screens.
Hmm.
And from what I heard you say, it kind of makes you distant from everything. And you all put yourselves into these screens because that's how you all learn how to communicate with each other. But then it doesn't make you kind of antisocial
Yeah.
a little bit because you get so used to the screen. Because I noticed that sometimes I can sit in a room, I could be out in a business meeting, or I could be out sitting in a meeting, and everybody will pull out their phone and nobody will talk to each other. Everybody will be in these screens and they fully know each other, but they're holding conversations outside of the room.
Yeah.
So if this is what you are used to, is it safe to say that because of the screens or all the information that's coming in on a constant basis, that sometimes does it cause more stress, or is it a stress reliever, or how should we look at these things called screens these days when it comes to your age group?
So that's a great way of putting it. Like because it could go either way. Like some people go to it for like a stress reliever, but it can also be a way of stressing yourself out even more because of what we have access to. Not everything is limited anymore. Like you can get access to anything that could like whether it be violence. You could access happy things. You could access even things that ruin the mental state. There's a lot of things that we have access to that we shouldn't have access to. Like even though it's out of our control, but now we go to it as like a coping mechanism because, oh, there's so many people around me physically. I don't want to talk to these people around me physically. I don't know who these people are because I don't know how to communicate with them in an intimate way. I don't know how to have conversation with them because I don't want to get to know them, or I don't know how to get to know them. Like it's just a way of communication that, since is not as real or true anymore, because even if we do, let's say, even if we do get forced to put our phones down, even if we do have like to put the screens away, and you just put us in a room, we won't know how to start a conversation unless there's something to like either gossip about, or something that was negative that happened before, or somebody just randomly starts the conversation. Even because even now, without screens, it's hard to be able to know who people really are without the screen, because people put up faces on a day-to-day basis even when you're around them. So it causes mask regardless if you're on a screen or not. You're not going to be able to truly identify who you're dealing with because of how normalized it is to be fake. Basically, like it's normalized to be fake on a day-to-day basis. So I'll say that's usually majority of the reason why it's so much harder to communicate. And most of the time, it's not because we don't want to, but like I said, it's like that anti-socialness that screens cause. And since they're so like, mm, they're so a part of us, like we grew up with it, it's hard to remove it out of our day-to-day behavior.
And not that the screens are going away, and
Hmm.
they're and it's not a bad thing,
Hmm.
because social media is not a bad thing. It can be a great thing, but too much of anything, right,
Yep.
can be a bad thing. And what I hear
Yep.
you saying is that sometimes young people lack that self control when it comes to the screens, and then what's in the screens. Like you said, I heard you say good or bad, and sometimes you
Mhm.
can't decipher what's good, what should I really look at, what should I not look at. And then you can be anybody that you want to be, on the screens. And so because people don't know what's real, they go ahead and accept what they see, but then it causes, and I think I'm hearing you say this, is causes you not to trust, not to want to
Mhm.
connect, because I know that it's real. And in my world of mental health, they call that the realm of illusion. They call that the snapshot life. That this is the picture that I want to paint for everybody, and I'm going to place myself in the picture. And whether that picture is going to be perfect and it's always going to be there, and it doesn't have to be real. And then you invite people into your world, but your world is not real. But what
Yep.
happens when you actually meet that person, and then the world starts to crumble down when it's not real? So why do you think that mental health is important to your generation now, with all that is going on in the world today?
It's important to my generation in general because it's a way of accessing who we truly are, and like giving us more so a reality check, because our reality is so distorted now.
Hmm.
It's hard to stay in a true reality even within yourself now, because everything around you is so fake and made up. Like even our generation, I'm gonna say personally, even in my personal view of my generation, we are very sensitive when it comes to anything emotional wise or ego, prideful, anything, because it's so much harder to trust anybody that we are around because we don't know who we dwell amongst, because it's
Hmm.
so hard to read people now. It's so hard to talk to people. Even if we get to know a person over a certain period of time, that is always going to be a block there, because we don't know if that person's going to derail or show their true colors eventually along that line. So I'll say it's definitely important because it helps keep a sense of reality in our lives when everything around us is just basically distorted. Everything is just out of order. Like how you be saying out of order. That's just how it feels.
So from a parent's perspective, if my daughter and my son feels like that, how am I able to tap in when they have such a distorted view of trust and people, and if they think everything is fake and everybody's lying, and everything is just about the screens, how do parents start to bridge that gap with the young people? I'm not talking about the little kids. I'm talking about from ages 15 up. How do they start to build that trust with you all? Because I know it can be kind of difficult because all that you all have to deal with. I tell people I would not want to be your age. When I was your age, we had stress, but it wasn't nowhere near like what you all are dealing with and going through. So, how can parents be more, I want to say, transparent and have those conversations with you all to build that trust?
Definitely one thing that I noticed even now with my spiritual parents, Apostle James and Prophetess Tiffany, it starts inside of the house, like where that transparency comes, like where that where that gap is, it has to start being built in the house, because if you are transparent where you are with them, they'll be transparent where they are with you. Like it goes both ways. Like the transparency can be built, but there's a process to it. There's always going to be a process to it. How can that transparency be built? It's just being authentic. Like even when it comes to like changing habits in the household, like if there's a disconnection somewhere in the household, how can that be amended to? For example, an example that Prophetess Tiffany gave the other day, she was like, we being more intentional with like being like eating at the table. Like that's a good way to like bridge a gap to build
You're fine.
intimacy intimacy in the
Authenticity.
relationship with your family. Thank you, because that word is tripping me up right now. Is a good way. It starts with those smaller things, because the more smaller things you build up, it becomes bigger and bigger habits. And also showing us how to be true to ourselves, even when we go out in the world by ourselves. Because
Hmm.
if we know who we are before we leave the household, it won't be hard to know who we dwell amongst, because they won't be able to tell us who we are, because that's what social media does. Not just social media, that's what just this world in today does in general. Like if you don't know who you are, you're going to get surrounded by things that's going to make you distorted and not know who you are in general.
Hmm.
So no, helping us build our own identity and our own beliefs and who we are and what we believe will be a great way to help build that gap. Not build the gap, mend the gap, so that
I hear you.
our transparency, the transparency won't be as hard. Because yeah, I'll just say that. I'll just end it on that. Just helping us build our own beliefs and knowing who we are in general. I think that would
Hmm.
be a great way on how to start mending the gap.
But I like what you said because you talked about your spiritual parents, and a lot of young people don't have, they have parents but they don't have spiritual parents. So those that don't know, Prophetess Tiffany and Apostle James, they are the youth pastors of Adonai International Kingdom Ministry. Shout out CTF, uh,
Yeah,
out to CTF youth pastors, doing a great job with the youth. Um, and I heard you say that it starts in the home. You said inside of the home, and you said just being authentic. But one thing that you said that really stuck out to me was that Prophetess Tiffany talked about eating dinner together at the table. I remember years ago where that didn't sound strange. That was something that we had to do. And you better have your behind sitting at the dinner table every single night for dinner, and everybody had to be there. You had, don't let the street light beat you home. That was old school. They used to tell you, don't let the street light beat you home. Make sure you're behind and sitting at the table. And but there was something amazing going on at the dinner table that you don't see much today, and that's connection. That is
mm-hmm.
community. dinner table, because when there's good food around and people are eating, people begin to talk and you begin to share, and you learn about people when people are eating together and just building together. So that is some great advice, that Prophetess Tiffany, you that had given you about sitting at the table. And one thing you said, you said that somebody have that transparency. Watching them be transparent has helped you to be more
Mhm.
transparent and deal with your ugly, your stuff. So to tell a little bit about Tanar, and you can tell a little bit, how have you struggled when it came to your mental health? How have you struggled in the past, and how did you recover? How did you overcome?
So believe it or not, I've only just started my path on recovering on building my mental health because that's something that was not very smiled upon in the household that I grew up in. I'm not gonna say too much, but that's just not something that I was able to do. It was just like whatever the parent says, whatever parent goes, wherever the parents feel, that's where everybody else is gonna feel. Plain and simple as that. Don't go against it. Don't buck up against it. Don't just don't do anything and you won't get got. Plain and simple as that. So how I've been recovering is definitely I gotta give honor where honor is due because it didn't start until I met the hunters. That's where my biggest thing has started because I didn't know what it felt like to have a loving family or loving parents in general, or the whole idea of being in a godly environment, a loving environment, a true loving environment, not just one that says I love you and move along. No, where it shows in actions, it bears the fruits of love, it shows the fruits of love, it produces the fruit of love. That's where my mental health journey started, and since I've met them, I've been going to see a therapist. I've been journaling a lot more, like I've been paying attention to my own habits as well because my habits in general, I tend to derail mentally a lot because I they literally I'll give an example. Literally just yesterday, I had to be reminded that I'm not in that place anymore. I'm not in that environment anymore. There's no reason to carry it with me in my own coming year because everything around me is blessed. And when that and they do it in love and they do it in a loving way, but they do it straightforward as well because in
Hmm.
a way I have to be corrected because I can't continue holding that on. Like there's love, there's tough love, and then there's the guiding love. They guide me through it, even though I keep doing it over and over again. But it's going to get to a point where
Hmm.
I'm able to catch myself in the process before I fall back into that habit again. So I'll definitely say my mental recovery has been going strong so far. I do have my moments where I like do where I unravel a little bit, but the love has definitely helped me in the process of getting this all started. And so far, I've been doing really good. But I don't like what I've been through. Amen.
Good, amen. So, what are some of the coping skills that you have learned? Because I heard you say that you were in therapy. A lot of young people kind of shy away from getting help, getting that therapy that they need, and just actually talking through some of their challenges. So, what have been some of the coping skills that you have learned from your therapist?
So my therapist has taught me a breathing technique. It's called the 5 by 5 by 5 rule. Breathe in for
Mm-hmm.
5, hold for 5, let out for 5. It's to make sure that anxiety nerve does not, even when it's about to be triggered, it helps calm that nerve down so that I don't go into an overall like panic or anything like that. And then journaling as well, not letting any of my thoughts dwell within my vessel too long because if they do, I'm gonna start unraveling again. So I think I'm about to finish my most recent journal. I've already finished about 5 journals by now, but journaling has definitely helped me. And then one of my favorite things is connected with nature. So going on walks has definitely helped me on my most toughest times when I didn't feel like journaling or I didn't feel like picking up a pen or like talking to anybody. Going on a walk and talking with God, that's been like my biggest things helping me throughout the most recent years as well, since I've been on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my top three. And then on top of that, be in the community. I have to be in
Okay.
community daily because if I'm by myself, I'm going to mess up. So
Okay.
yeah, Those are my coping mechanisms.
I love your vulnerability. So what resources or support would you like to see available to the young adults when it's concerning mental health? Because a lot of young people don't know how to reach out. They
Mhm.
don't know, they don't know, they know something's wrong, but they don't know how to ask for that help. So what resources and or support would you like to see in this area?
In this area and in general, because like you said earlier, like how we're based off like how we're building our community, helping because right now the youth is the prophetess Tiffany Apostle James are building leaders so that when other youth come after us, we'll be able to have the skill set and mindset to be able to help them through their own process because we know what it's like to be in their shoes. So being able, I think for sure, like the things that will be accessed, like easier access mental health care, like affordable mental health care, not even just like for parents, but like even was like something that's even like they can make on their own wages to be able to pay for, or even if it's like $20 sessions by like the elders or the apostles of church of our church and stuff like that will be very very helpful because when I think mental health, I think a whole very expensive bill that I will have to pay
Yeah.
eventually just for reaching out towards the help. So
Yeah, yeah.
I would say affordable healthcare for sure, or even if it's just like even in 20 or 30-minute sessions, those can like really do a lot more, like helping and like building towards our own steps, like helping ourselves, than breaking us down. We're like, oh, I can't get help because I'm broke. So I'll say affordable healthcare and building leaders in the young people that we have in our church, which is we're doing which they are doing really great at, so that we can also build a community within our own age group.
Okay, okay. And how do you talk about your feelings when it comes to mental health? Have you been able to talk about your feelings with other youth?
Yes, so Nala, she's really good at what's it say? She has a very soft approach to people, but she has a sternness about her as well that makes it like easy to go to her because it's like, oh, I know I'm not going to get judged, or she's going to be transparent for me when I'm out of order.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so amongst the youth, Nala's definitely one of the people that I will go to. But even if it's just like talking to one of my siblings, that would be a great way to do. I haven't did it as much as I'm gonna be transparent. I haven't did it as much as I should be.
Mm-hmm.
um, but talking to my feelings in general is still something that's challenging for me. Like that's something I'm still working on because that's not what I'm used to. I even had to force myself to talk to my dad about something that I was feeling uncomfortable about, or something that I was feeling in my heart because I didn't want it to dwell on my mind too long. Because, like I said, if it dwells on my mind too long, I'm going to start unraveling. So I had to even take steps to push myself out of my own boundaries to like be transparent in that way. And we had a really good conversation out of it. So I'll say that it's easy to go to them, but that's something that I'm still working on in the process of. But when it comes to like expressing my emotions, that's something that I usually go to God about. I usually go venting to God, or I start praying to God about it because that's usually where I went. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to human transparency, that's something I'm still building on. So I'll say it's a work in progress at the moment.
Okay, so where you're a work in progress, that's good. And how can learning the skills or life skills impact? How has it impacted your confidence and help build your relationships? Because I heard you say, like years ago, it was unspoken and mental health wasn't a thing. I want to say 15, 20 years ago. It wasn't a household name. It wasn't something that people talked about, especially in the African American community. You better not say you better not say you're frustrated. Don't say you're depressed. Don't say you're have anxious. What you have to be nervous about, especially if you're a kid, you're not paying any bills. It was suck it up, buttercup, square your shoulders. No, get back in the game. Especially for my generation, we were not allowed to share our feelings. We were not allowed to talk about certain things. So my generation, we kind of grew up in a hard way, not really talking about our feelings, but suppressing most of them. And then as we raised our children, it kind of trickled down. But I thank God for this generation that even though you all have the screens and even though you might have the emotional flooding, you all are talking, you all are getting it out. You want to know, you're processing your feelings and your emotions and all of those things. And we're trying to do it in a healthy way, you know. But how has learning these skills that you have so far from your experiences, from your youth pastors, from your church, from your job, how have all of these life skills impacted your confidence level as a young adult woman growing into who God has called you to be?
Yes, so it has impacted my confidence in a very, 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 very high way. It's also made that antisocial part of me that I had go away significantly. Like it's very easy for me to be bubbly around people more in a more genuine way, not just putting up a face mask or putting up a like a fake joy or anything. Like I'm actually genuinely enjoying the people that I'm around and actually being in the moment, and that has brought my confidence from like ground level to like above and beyond. And it's like it shows even in the people that are around me, because that's like the first thing that people notice about me is that I'm full of joy. um the confidence, even in my mental, like even with the mental struggle, it gives me more confidence to get through it more easily. Like, okay, this is just a temporary moment. This is something that God is bringing me through. It's also growing me. Like I'm growing through the process. I'm not just walking through it. I'm growing through the process, and it's building me as a person, as a woman of God, because definitely didn't have the strength to do it on my own. If anything, I didn't want to do it at a certain point in time because I had a very low self-esteem as well. So when my confidence started being built up, my self-esteem started going up with it. When my self-esteem started going up with it, all my other fruits that are needed to be like a full woman of God has been increasing and being birthed and like and multiplying. So I'll say that's definitely has like made walking this like easier, because being in this generation is not easy, especially when there's so much negativity around. Like it's like walking around, everything you see around is like some type of negativity going on. Not saying that there want like I want to walk into that, but it's just like it's there. Like it's going to be there regardless. That's just something that this generation fumes like it's fueled off of. It's just like negativity. So being around that has been, and like having my confidence build it up is definitely has made this walk a lot more easier, and like made me want to go to God even more, because if I can't find it in this world, I'm not going to find it in the world. I'm going to find it in God. That's for sure. In the community that I'm around, being with the youth pastors. When I tell you, it's been a whole 360 turn. It's been a restart for me. So it's just been like building me
Mm-hmm.
up. Like, okay, I'm ready for this. Like I ain't gonna be ready for everything, but it's definitely giving me more confidence to take on more things head first and not get knocked down instead. So yeah,
And if you don't mind, how old are you?
I'm 20.
Oh my goodness, just full of wisdom. And last question, looking back, did you ever deal with shame and guilt and all of those things? What would you tell a young person that may be viewing right now that is gripped in that space, that space where they know something is wrong but don't know how, like you said, how to connect, and they're so caught up in the screens, or they know they're depressed and can't do anything about it, or they can't talk to their parent, or whatever the case may be. What would you tell them, if you had their ear? What would you tell that young person that's right there on the cup of suicide or self-harm? What would you tell that person? How would you snatch them back?
Yes, so I'm gonna just be transparent, because definitely I dealt with depression, anxiety, the suicidal thoughts, the not wanting to be here on this earth, just like in overall general, I was just done. Like I was done with it. But that is where those broken moments is where God showed up for me the most. And I will say not, and I'm not just gonna say, oh, like God, like I'm not just gonna say right away, God, go ahead, pray about it, it'll be all right. You're going to have to go through a process regardless, if you want to or not. If you want to be free, there's going to be a process, but you also have to know that if you cannot find it in the household, find a community where you can find that confidence builder, where you can find that joy, where like change the environment that you're around. And if you can't change the environment, then I'll say you try to control. That's one thing that Apostle James is teaching us right now, is controlling our environments. Because if we have control over the environment, it's going to be a lot more hard to. It's going to be a lot more easier to navigate things. But if you're on the brink of suicide or the brink of like depression, or I don't know what to do, I will say definitely be encouraged, because it's only temporary. It may feel, when I tell, and I'm saying, it's, and I'm not just trying to say like you're going to get through it, you'll be all right, because I know what it's like. It's it feels really real, like even to the point where you can feel it physically. Like it's so real to us, like it's a mental thing, but you can start feeling it through your entire body. It's a struggle, and it's really hard to break out of it. But that's where those coping skills come in, like finding things that you fell in love with once, way before, when you were younger. Like mine was art. When I was getting into a dark place, I started painting. And when I started painting, I started putting every single emotion I was feeling, and I put it on that canvas. I don't care how ugly it looked, I don't care how beautiful it looked, I just needed to get it away from me because it was eating me on the inside. um if you have to just go on a walk for 3 or 4 hours, go on that walk. If you have to journal 5 books, journal 5 books. If you have to go play basketball for 6 hours, go do that. Just find a different view, because if you change your perspective in that moment where you're feeling like I don't want to exist anymore, that change of perspective is definitely going to make it a lot more easier. If anything, it's going to be a lot more for it to pass over, because it genuinely is temporary, even though it feels like it's so real and that you're on the brink of being choked. It's not as real as we think. I'll say it
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's not as real as we think. It's a mental battle. So if you change your perspective, if you change the community that you have around, if you can't go to your parents, go to that one friend that you could vent to. If you can't go to that one friend that you could vent to, like I said, find that one thing that brings you the most coping. And I'm not saying, and I'm not, just to make it clear, I'm not saying go harm yourself in some way so that you could cope with that. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying go to those bad habits. Find the good habits in the midst of the evil. That's what I'm saying. And I'll just say, even if I were to say that to younger me who was self harming, who was very suicidal, I'll just say be encouraging to yourself as well, even if you don't want to. Like talk yourself through those moments, because
Mm-hmm.
it genuinely gets better. It will get better. It's not the end of the world. And you definitely are loved, even if you don't feel it, if you don't see it, you're loved. And you definitely, God will send those people to you. He's always watching you. He's an omnipresent God. He's always watching you. He's there in your lowest moments, and he will build you up from there. So yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh my goodness. And she talked about how nervous she was. I cannot tell, young lady. You are awesome and you rocked it on tonight. People, listen here. She talked about changing your perspective, and the battle is in the mind from a 20-year-old. And she said, find the good habits out of the evil thoughts. So you got to find it. And she's talking about her coping skills and all of those things. Tanar, I want to thank you on tonight. People, look, this workshop is going to be March the 14th at 12 12 noon. I put the link in the chat. Come on and go ahead and register. It's only $20, but as you can see, these young people are awesome sauce, and we're going to be teaching some things on mental health and how to really cope, how to change the mindset, what perspective really looks like, core beliefs, and how those core beliefs shape how we see ourselves. And sometimes how we see ourselves is distorted. Come on, amen. But the main thing is
Mhm.
bridging the church with the with the marketplace when it comes to mental health, because there's such a stigmatism about mental health, and people are running from even that word, that they don't want to get the help that they need. So the link is in the chat. Mental health, it's the mental health workshop. I'm trying to get to it so I can copy it and put it right back in the chat. I tell you, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy it again, and I'm going to post it in the chat so you all can go ahead and register. It's only $20 to register. It's March the 14th at 12 noon until 4. We're going to have the parents, we're going to have the young people, we're going to be learning together, we're going to be sharing together. It's going to be a comfortable, safe environment. It's going to be the address is, where's the address? 2901 Gilbert Avenue, right there in the Easter Seals Redwood building. It's going to start at 12 noon. You do not want to miss it. So make sure that you hit the link and log on. Tanar, I am so very proud of you. You rocked it. You were vulnerable. You were honest with yourself. You talked about your coping mechanisms, and I want you to know that I appreciate you. Apostle Frank appreciates you, and I know that your spiritual parents, your parents, they appreciate you for just who you are, and you're growing into a phenomenal, hear me well, a phenomenal woman. You are a powerhouse, and your words hold so much power. Your testimony has so much oil attached to it. And I am so thankful that I know you as my Gigi baby. Amen. Glory to God.
Thank you so much
I
for
am
having me on here.
I,
I was genuinely blessed by this. I thought I was going to like break down and everything, but this is also
no,
giving
no,
me
you did not break down. You are the first of many. And I thank you so much. You're very comfortable and you're very confident. But I know this topic is near and dear to your heart because
Mhm.
I've heard you speak before. And I know your passion when it comes to mental health and seeing young people get the help that they need. So I thank you so
Yes.
much for logging on. Everyone, I'm Apostle Stacie Johnson here at U-Turn Behavioral Services, Women of Vision Global Network, and Adonai International Kingdom Ministries. Yes, but this program is 15 to 30, what they did not tell us. And it's some things were just hidden from us that we just didn't know. So now we got to find our way through and find the wisdom to get out of it and the coping skills to cope with the things that we have to deal with today. So I am Apostle Stacie Johnson, and I thank you all so much for signing on. Again, make sure that you hit the link for the workshop. It's going to be March the 14th. It's called Breaking the Chains. That means we're breaking the chains, we're breaking cycles, we're breaking patterns, so we can come together, parents and young people and youth, and learn how to build community, learn how to connect, learn how to communicate, get those coping skills so we can grow as a unit. Amen. God bless you all. Thank you all for logging on. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for those that were listening and those that will hit the replay over and over and over. We love you. God bless you. Have a wonderful and an awesome, awesome evening. Thank you so much, Tanar. Any last words for the people that are watching?
Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you once again for having me on here. This has definitely pushed me outside of my boundaries, and it's growing me over, even more in the process of like being able to verbally express and be transparent about that mental health area, because it definitely is a struggle still to this day. But like I said, God is building me. God is really like taking the steps and like purging some things out. So I really do thank you. I thank you and Apostle Frank, who are my leaders, and my youth pastors who are under Apostle James and Prophetess Tiffany. Thank you for all the love and thank y'all for training me up. And when I say y'all bring y'all youth to CTF, because it definitely is some fruit being buried there. I ain't lying. I'm really not. If you knew it, if you knew where I came from, you'll be like, I don't even look like it. So I'll definitely say bring the youth in because it's definitely going to be worth it. So
So
yeah, that's
since
all I
you
have.
so since you said that, I just gotta piggyback. So we say CTF, but it's called Conquerors Through Faith, and that is our youth ministry at Adonai International Kingdom Ministries. And the address is 7615 Reading Road. We are right there in the Valley Shopping Center. We used to be a bank, but we are inside the bank right there in Roselawn. Services start at 11:45. We get there about 11:30 on Sunday, and Wednesday night is our Fresh Start Bible study with Apostle Frank Johnson and Apostle James. They are leading it off, and that Wednesday night is it starts at 7 p.m. I believe, so you don't want to miss it. But CTF is the Conquerors Through Faith Youth Ministry. I'm telling you, they are making strides. As you can see, they are awesome, awesome, awesome. So my goal is to have the youth on here and just really, really, really give them a spotlight because they are just awesome, and the parents. So I thank you so much for coming on and your vulnerability and that beautiful smile of yours. I love you. Love everyone.
Love
God bless
you.
you. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye.
Bye bye.